All right, guys, welcome back again to the channel. So the new season has started, and of course, we've seen a couple of footballing actions go down in different leagues that have started their footballing campaign, and it's going to be a very busy footballing weekends from now until like May of next year. So obviously, it's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out, and more importantly, the performances of Nigerian Super Eagles players is something that we'll be looking out for. And again, this past week, we saw a couple of impressive performances. Wilfred Ndidi made his debut for the Besiktas Football Club by making an appearance in their 2-1 victory over Sport in the Turkish league, in the Turkish Super League. Abraham was also a notable performer for that game. Scored a goal via penalty in the 19th minute, and then Sport equalized through Tiam in the 29th minute, and then Silva scored the winning goal in the 90 plus 6 minutes. It was a very lucky game for them. Snapped up at the dead of the game, but it's really important to see that Ndidi, gets his career with Besiktas in a flying manner. And then in the La Liga, we saw Crisantos Uche powering on for his Getafe side as he helps them to a 2-0 victory over Celta Vigo. He scored one of the goals, then assisted the other one to help them, get a good start in the La Liga. It's so good, so important to see that Uche Santos is showing quality, in terms of scoring goals and also putting an assist for his teammates, because obviously this is going to be very important for us as Super Eagles of Nigeria, because next month we'll know what it is. We have two games, very crucial games, must-win games for us to qualify. So obviously, it's good that Kucherkshaw has people that he can count on to bring in quality, to the team. And then in the EPL, we saw Kevin Bassi and he will be making appearances for their Fulham side as they played at a 1-1 draw over Brighton and Hove's Albion. There's something about this Brighton and Hove's Albion. Anytime you play them, they are really a strong team. It doesn't matter whether they sell their best player from previous season or they are retaining them. Every single time you play Brighton, they are really strong. I saw that game and it was a very tough encounter. But at the end of the day, Wilfred, at the end of the day, Kevin Bassi and uh, Alex Iwobi, stood their ground as they both started the match and then walked away with a 1-1 draw. They actually had to equalize in the dead of the game through Rodrigo Muniz's 90 plus 7 minutes goal. So it wasn't an easy battle for them. But I mean, we had other important games as well in the French Ligue 1, where we saw Awazi making his debut as well, a couple of other fixtures as well. But the most important thing I wanted to share in this video is the saga that has to do with Ademola Lookman, and it keeps getting from bad to worse. It doesn't seem like it's going to improve in the coming days. And of course, we have like I think 2 weeks or less in the transfer window. So this needs to be sorted out. Lookman needs to calm down and try to sort this out. You know, to so that Atlanta will allow him leave and probably reach on a consensus about the club that he wants to join, because the last report coming out from this update, I'm not really happy about it, based on what was reported that Lookman did. So here is the gist. It was said that Lookman is not in Italy, which is where he's supposed to be, as a professional who's been paid by the club to be in Italy, train with the squad and prepare for the new season. They had already played their first league game, or if I'm not mistaken, this past weekend. Lookman was nowhere to be found because, of course, you know the whole story. If you follow the channel, he had boycotted training, hadn't trained for 1 week plus now, cleared out his locker room, and sent in his transfer request, urging the club that he wants to leave. Written an apology to the fans, telling them that hey, this is what's happening. I'm not a bad guy. It's not like uh, no, it's not like I've chosen to be disloyal or chosen to, to be ungrateful of any or in any sort of way, but it's because of the agreement that I had with the owners of the club. and they have failed on the promises that they made to me. This is why I decided to act the way that I'm acting. So I hope you guys understand. That's part of the message is trying to let the fans know. But the latest saga now is that Lookman, traveled back to UK, just because he doesn't want to be in Atlanta training and put up with whatever is happening with the owner. So he was in the UK, trying to wait until everything is sorted out. And then Atlanta decided to send in one of their representatives to come to the UK to speak with Ademola Lookman. And when this representative entered UK, Lookman left UK and traveled to Portugal to stay, you know. And the representative of Atlanta, reached UK, looked for Ademola Lookman, couldn't get hold of him. He decided to go back to Italy, to report what he experienced. That Ademola Lookman obviously disappointed him. Agreed to have a meeting or something like that, but at the end of the day, disappointed and was nowhere to be found. So this is the latest concerning this deal, and not. It's really not nice. It's not nice. Um, I, for one, I don't know. Of course, Ademola Lookman is a man, and he's the one that's wearing the shoes, so he knows what is really happening behind closed doors. We can only just talk about uh, some things that are happening or react to certain things that are being let out into the media, but we don't know the whole story. But for me, I feel like Lookman should calm down. He should relax a little bit and have this conversation with this club, their representative, because that's the only way they can actually sort out his future and allow him to live. At the end of the day. But there's been some other development that I've been seeing that are really very, very nice and interesting. One is the fact that it was said that the Drogba has stepped in to defend or to support Ademola Lookman, not just because he's Ademola Lookman or because he's the African best player, but just sheer reason that Drogba likes to support African players. He likes to be that big brother that steps into situations that has become difficult for them to handle, to help them sort it out in a very amicable way. So that's what I've been seeing right now, that Drogba has stepped into that he actually traveled sometime last week, to have conversation with Atlanta's board and you know sit in a round table and ask them what is the problem. Please, how can we settle this case? Um, how do we all reach an agreement for you guys to allow Lukman to move to the club that he wants to move to, things like that. And there's also a report that Eto'o uh, spoke to Drogba about, the fact that if he needs any support or if there's anything that he can do to support, this discussion or this resolution, that he's also interested. He'll travel anytime, any day, from Cameroon to Italy to help settle the case. So those are some of the interesting aspects to this Ademola Lookman saga. What do you guys think about it? For me, I feel like the whole drama should already come to an end, because it's not making sense anymore. The season has started. Ademola Lookman, the current African best player of the year, um, he's supposed to be treated with much more respect than he's getting. He's supposed to be out there doing what he loves to do best on the pitch with this new season, not running around like someone who's a fugitive, who has committed a crime or something like that. Well, let me know what you think about this. That's the update for now. Thanks for watching and stay tuned.